Hello and welcome to Time's Pulse channel. Today we will journey to the Korean Peninsula, to a war that began over 70 years ago. A war that left a divided land and millions of lives changed. The Korean War was part of the wider Cold War struggle, but for the people who lived through it, it was not about ideology. It was about survival. It began on June 25, 1950, when North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel and stormed into South Korea. What had been a single nation was split into two, each claiming the right to rule all of Korea. The invasion was swift, brutal, and overwhelming. Families were torn apart in a single day. Soldiers marched south. Tanks rolled into towns. Ordinary people fled with only the clothes on their backs, not knowing if they would ever return. The United States and other United Nations members, fearing the spread of communism, stepped in to aid South Korea. Under the UN flag, troops from many nations sailed across the sea, arriving in a country they had never seen to fight for people they had never met. For soldiers, this was a foreign land. For civilians, their home became a battlefield. Early on, South Korean and UN forces were pushed into a small corner of the peninsula. Then came a daring plan: the Incheon landing in September 1950. Soldiers poured onto the shores, tanks and supplies following close behind. The tide of war shifted almost overnight. North Korean forces retreated, and for a brief moment it seemed the war might soon be over. But the war was far from finished. As UN forces advanced toward the Chinese border, a new wave of troops appeared, hundreds of thousands of Chinese soldiers pouring across the Yalu River. Bitter winter battles raged through mountains and frozen rivers. Temperatures fell far below freezing. Soldiers on both sides faced not just enemy fire, but hunger, frostbite, and exhaustion. By early 1951, the front lines had settled near the 38th parallel, almost exactly where the war had begun. For 2 more years, the conflict dragged on in a grinding stalemate. Villages changed hands multiple times. Artillery thundered day and night. Each attack won a few yards of ground, only to lose them again in the next assault. Meanwhile, civilians endured the unendurable. Cities were reduced to rubble. Children wandered roads in search of family. Fields lay burned and food was scarce. Every face carried the weight of loss. Loss of home, loss of loved ones, loss of the life that once was. On July 27, 1953, the guns finally fell silent. An armistice was signed, not a peace treaty. The border between North and South Korea remained almost unchanged. The war had cost over 1 million lives in the South, even more in the North, and tens of thousands of soldiers from many nations. For some, the war was a victory. South Korea remained free from communist rule. For others, it was a tragedy without winners. The land was still divided, and families remained separated, their loved ones trapped on the other side of a heavily guarded border. The demilitarized zone stands today as an eerie monument to that division, a narrow strip of uneasy calm that keeps alive the memory of a conflict not fully resolved. Even now, families still search for missing relatives. The human legacy is complex. Veterans carry memories that never fade. Cities rebuilt themselves from ash, but the scars remain in stories and photographs. Medical advances and field hospitals saved lives, while the immense scale of suffering changed generations. Prisoners, uprooted civilians, and those who went missing carried losses which no diplomatic settlement could entirely mend. Fighting changed towns and lives. Air raids, ship blockades, and fast attacks forced many to flee their homes. After front lines stopped moving, soldiers dug in along a tense border. Rebuilding cities and farms took years, and many families never returned to what they were. The war's effects reached daily life, work, and future of whole communities. Children missed school, markets were empty, and traditions were interrupted for a generation. When we look at these photographs, we are not judging. We are remembering. We are honoring the people who lived through those days, whoever they were, wherever they stood. The Korean War teaches us that history is not simply maps and dates. It is the sum of countless personal stories, choices, and losses. Today, the peninsula is still shaped by that 3-year struggle. Alliances formed, armies modernized, and the geopolitical map of East Asia was altered. Millions live with memories passed down by grandparents. Periodic tensions flare, and diplomacy continues to seek ways to ease a division that began in the aftermath of a much larger global war. As you watch this video, let these restored animated images bring the past closer. Imagine the lives behind the photographs. Remember that every faded photograph was once a person with a life and a family. If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe, like, and leave your thoughts below. History matters because people matter. And the Korean War is a powerful, painful reminder of that truth.